Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MetaTalks, the Metagate Summit pre-event platform where we connect with the best and the brightest minds in the metaverse industry. As we explore this fascinating world together, we discover new trends, challenges, and opportunities that emerge every day. I'm Lara Dawood, founder of Yehumina Events, the official organizer of Metagate Summit, and your host for this episode. As we gear up for the Metagate Summit, a hybrid event that will focus on the business side of the metaverse and take place in Istanbul, Turkey in September 2023, in collaboration with our association partner, VR AR Association, we're excited to announce that we have partnered with Expert Expo Betis, Turkey's leading software solutions company, to stream the whole event and startup competition live on our Metaverse event management platform, providing a global audience and wider visibility. In today's episode, joining me as a co-host, Shujat Mirza, XR expert, and Mina, president of Verara, who always brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our conversation. And I would like here to take a moment to give him a big shout out for his continuous support and for being an essential part of making the Metagate Summit a success. Thank you, Shujat.
My pleasure, Lara.
Together, we are honored to welcome our special guest, Mr. Ryan Wang, who is a true pioneer and leader in the AI, Metaverse, XR, and Web3 industries. Ryan is a co-founder and general partner of Outpost Capital, a leading cross-border early-stage venture fund based in San Francisco and China, focusing on frontier technology investments. He's also the co-founder of Zebra Labs, a metaverse entertainment company, creating new IPs and content with cutting-edge technology in gaming and AI. Welcome, Ryan. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Laura, for having me here, and good to meet with everybody.
Ryan, before we dive into our exciting conversation, can you tell us more about your background and how you became involved in the metaverse industry, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, I was born and raised in China. I came to the States roughly 15 years ago. After I did my master at the New York University, I started my career as an investment banker in New York City. So I did banking for roughly 5 years. And after that, in 2014, I moved from New York City to San Francisco and become a venture capitalist. So I think, my journey with Metaverse really started after I become a venture capitalist. And I've been looking into a lot of frontier technology investments. And back in, 2014, 2015, VR has just become a new concept, and it's evolving from a new concept into a new industry, right? So I was able to kind of spot the trend and become one of the earliest investors in the VR sector as well. And also, as things moving forward, progressing forward, there are different aspects in this direction where we see, the consumer aspect, the gaming aspect, right? So I started to pick up more investments from that angle. And also there are more enterprise B2B type of opportunities, right? Where we see not only VR, but also AR and some other type of immersive applications that's emerging and, start making impact. And we started to look into a lot of new opportunities that's this sector is touching, and we've been investing in not only VR, AR, but also artificial intelligence, Web3 and blockchain, and some other technologies since then as well. So I think it's been quite a journey for me, and it's definitely one of the super exciting industry to be in as well.
Exactly. Interesting. Ryan, as a leader in the AI, XR, and Web3 industries, we would love to hear your insights on how AI is shaping the future of the Metaverse and XR. And in your opinion, are there any specific areas within these industries that you believe will be heavily impacted by AI?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think, the thing is that we have so much new breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, especially in the past few months, right? And we see the crazy speed of adoption of ChatGPT, right? Over 100 million users within 2 months, the fastest adoption of anything. And also we see the transformation of AI as a tool mostly used in the enterprise world into a tool that's, that's becoming very popular among the consumers. And, currently we have millions of consumers using different type of AI technology in their everyday life as well, right? We see the real world impact on the consumer market. And also we see different type of, generative AI that can not only finish the traditional like machinery tasks, but also able to handle certain part in the creative world as well, right? So I think we are definitely in the process of, the convergence between AI and metaverse. And also, AI is actually in the process of reshaping pretty much every aspect of the metaverse industry, right? So, from things like AI powered avatars, virtual assistant, and different chatbot, right? To have, different characters in the metaverse have an intelligent conversation, to some type of, using AI to have certain type of personalization and recommendation engine, right? So that we can connect the right content to the right users, right? Or, something I just mentioned, especially in the content generation world, some of the generative AI, we have like text to image, right? Products like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, or, some of the newer type of tools to have text to video and also text to 3D, right? All of a sudden, the consumers who have certain interest in content creation in this world, right, have all these new set of tools that they can quickly produce certain content, and they can, become much easier than ever to become content creators. And also, the future of work, the future of education, the future of entertainment, right, and how, we manage our data for the future, right? I think, AI is kind of like reshaping every aspects in the whole value chain of the metaverse. And I think, right now it's just beginning. And it's exciting to see some of the new startups that's kind of adopting this new technology, or, making new use case breakthroughs and technology breakthroughs in their business as well.
Yeah, it's clear that the possibilities are endless, and we're excited, as you said, to see how these industries and how the startups also will adopt the new era, let's say. Shujaat, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, he's right. I mean, it's bang on. What is interesting, I wanted to ask Ryan is, with a lot of AI around, and everybody's, I know, right from students to content creators to people like me, all of us have used ChatGPT, right?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned avatars. That's what I wanted to ask you. Can we then really see the transition between these emoji kind of avatars or 3D avatars to a real digital twins with the addition, with the help of AI, where then the metaverse becomes really interesting, right? Because then I have my own digital twin present in the metaverse world doing my tasks, which I can automate. Do you see that happening in near future, or we see that we're still kind of
Yes,
slowly
I
going
think,
towards that kind of a phase, right?
right. It's interesting, what's been happening in the avatar and the broader virtual being sector, right? And I think, for quite a long time, there has been two different directions on how, companies, creators, or consumers are creating different avatars. and also interacting with avatars. So one direction is more like, stylized avatar, where it's more cartoonish, right? We can immediately tell, oh, this is something very different from the real world characters, versus, the other direction is more photorealistic. It's more close to human, right? And, the quality of the avatar is more detailed as well, more in the digital twin type of direction, as Shujia, you mentioned, right? So I think, there are a lot of value in both directions. If we are thinking about a cartoonish virtual world, right, then it might make better sense for a cartoonish or stylish type of avatars to be in that environment. And if we are thinking about certain use cases like gaming or content creation, then it's easier to hook up the motion capture technology to drive these avatars, and also to embed these avatars in these virtual environments, right? I think, from the content creation perspective, stylized avatar has still have a long way to go. Whereas in the photorealistic side, right, we are still in the process trying to solve the holy grail challenge of uncanny valley, right? So we know that the more details we put into a photorealistic avatar, and the closer it looks like a human being, it is the harder to get it right. And sometimes when you have 99% of the things right, but one thing 1% off, that 1% is gonna throw the whole experience to hell, right? So we're still kind of like struggling with the uncanny valley problem in the photorealistic angle, but at the same time, we see a lot of content creator tools to make the creation of a photorealistic avatar much easier, right? So back in the days, it might cost at least a couple of grand to deliver a really high quality photorealistic avatar, but nowadays with some of the creator tools like MetaHuman, right, people can just create it in a blink of seconds, right, without spending any actual dollars. And also in terms of the utility of the avatar, right? And I think that's where AI really kicks in and really start to shine in the avatar and virtual being space. In that, first of all, the most immediate enabling thing is that we can use a language model to drive the intelligence of the avatar, right? If we think about, for example, the gaming industry, right? Back then, for the NPCs, non-player characters, the game developers have to pre-script the NPC. So, when a character goes to the NPC, there is a scripted dialogue that's happening. But the player, they all know, hey, that's an NPC, and we are having this scripted dialogue here, right? So the possibility is very limited, and the volume of work is a lot, right? But with language models and things like ChatGPT, we can use this kind of language model to power different NPCs, so that they can have a more generative and more smart conversation with the players, right? So I think that's some of the immediate enhancement. Taking from there, right, some kind of advanced features and services that different kind of avatars can benefit from, let's say, artificial intelligence, is that what about a personalized experience, right? Through my interacting with a avatar, the avatar can learn from me, right, through the conversation. And also, what's really interesting is that, especially in the immersive world, right, in the VR or AR type of environment, the avatar can not only learn about the player through the language, through a language-based interaction, right, to capture, what kind of language does the player speak, and what kind of conversations are we having here. but also a lot of behavior data, right? Things like what's your poses, what's your gesture, and what's your behavior when you are interacting with the avatar. Can also, this kind of data can also be captured and can further, either enhance the model or, put into some other use cases as well. And I think that's even more valuable down the road, right? So I think, again, there are a lot of new development in the avatar and virtual being space. And it's just super exciting. And what's happening in the AI space in the past few months is definitely have become a huge enabler in this space as well.
Yeah,
No, it
exactly.
has indeed.
Yeah, Shujat.
No, we can continue. I think I got my
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, I have a question here, Ryan. As an investor in frontier technology, and I'm sure you have seen countless pitches and business plans.
Mhm.
Can you tell us more about what skills you look for in entrepreneurs and founders when considering investment opportunities and when evaluating a new technology or concept that doesn't yet have established use cases or markets? What's your process for assessing its potential?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, just like all the other early stage venture capital firms, for us, we always look into the fundamental of the startups, right? What's a problem? What's their solution, right? And also, as part of the fundamental for a early stage startup, we always look into the team, right? Who are these people that's solving this problem? Why that background position them in a good place? Why they are the world's expert world's best expert to solve this particular problem, right? We look into the team, we look into the product that this solution makes sense. What's their go-to-market strategy, right? We look into the total addressable market, right? Is this a problem that's worth solving, right? Are they chasing billion-dollar opportunities here? And are they the top one or the top 5 players in this space, right? And also we look into the competitive landscape, right? So how are they, where they are compared to their competitors, and what kind of different features and services they are providing to the potential customers compared to their competitors, right? So I think these are some of the fundamentals when we are evaluating any early stage startups, right? But in addition to all these fundamentals, something that for us, right, we are in particularly looking for in especially the frontier technology space is that a lot of things, the nature of frontier technology, since things are so new and things are on the edge, and the startups and entrepreneurs are constantly pushing the industry forward and trying to make the impossible possible, right? So because of the nature of this industry, there's always a huge gap between the technology and the real world adoption, right? So the development and the breakthrough of the technology is one thing that a lot of startup founders need to have new breakthroughs in the technology side in order to make things happening on the business side, right? And again, on the business side, we see a lot of use cases. It's not that easy to get adopted. So something that we are particularly looking for when we are evaluating a startup is whether the startup is an adoption driver or not, right? What I mean is that, give you an example. Back in, let's say, 2015, 2016, when VR first started and, is first switching from a new concept into a new industry, right? Early days for the metaverse industry as well. We see a lot of companies making predictions saying that, hey, by 2 years, 3 years down the road, it's gonna be a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we're gonna become like a multi-billion-dollar company by that time, because the VR sector is going to become a billion-dollar industry, right? But 3 years later, we say that, hey, there are a lot of new development in this space, but the pace of the adoption is not going as fast as we expected, right? So what's the problem here? The problem is the startups, right? They need to figure out ways on how they can make the conversion happen instead of relying on certain consumptions, some certain assumptions that the industry will just naturally grow very big, right? So it's almost like a change of mentality of not asking what the industry can do for you, but think about what you can do for the industry, right? How can we create a product and service that making the non-VR users into VR users, making the part of the consumers that understand nothing about Web3 and crypto and become a Web3 adopter, and having my grandpa or grandma being able to not even familiar with smartphone to start chatting with AI and interacting with artificial intelligence in their everyday life, right? How can we create all these real world use cases to make the conversion happen, so that collectively at the industry we can make the conversion happen, and we can make it possible for the industry to grow into a multi-billion-dollar industry or even trillion-dollar industry 2 years or 3 years later, right? So we are constantly looking for these adoption drivers in the startups so that they can push the industry forward and actually take actions to make things happen.
Completely agree. Shujat, do you have anything to add?
No, I think he's right. We have seen this. The entire startup culture, the entire startup ecosystem is so large globally that there are a lot of dropouts. We have seen this repeated again across industries, not only XR, not only Metaverse. Right from the when we had our first, let's call it, industrial revolution.
Yes.
They keep popping out. The gap is this. There are predictions. The solution is good, but maybe the adoption rate, the go-to-market strategy, or the product itself doesn't meet the expectation of the consumers or the common man. As you said, our parents, or my grandmother, or my mother doesn't find it useful. Then how do you drive that adoption? That's very key. That's what I was asked you, Ryan. Do you kind of then benchmark? You have a way to benchmark these startups, and then you kind of coach them so that these things don't happen in the future. And because all of them are talented, right? They have talent, they have a drive, they have focus, they want to achieve something. So do you kind of coach them so that they don't drop out in the near future, or they do the course correction at the right amount of time with your help? That's how you kind of bring up these startups.
Yeah. So I think we always work very closely with our portfolio companies and the company we invested, right? And also I think Shujat, to your point, the industry tends to kind of overestimate a technology in the short term, get super excited too quickly, right? But underestimate any kind of new technology or new trend in the long term, right? So if in the horizon of the next 2 years, people are always making aggressive estimates and bets, but in the spectrum of 10 years, right? Especially after the industry has gone through a few cycles of hype and dip, right? People always underestimate, that's actually happening. That's actually changing everybody's life, right? So that's why a lot of technology changes to the grid consumers, right? They feel like certain technology seems to be kind of overnight changes that cannot just take over. But in reality, there has been a long time of development and long time of struggling and effort, sweat and tears in a small circle before this kind of industry become widespread and making huge impact worldwide, right? So I think the other thing I like to mention here is that I've been observing different startup founders for quite a long time by interacting with startups every day and talking directly to the founders and CEOs every day, right? So it's very common to say that for a new sector or for a new category, there are quite a number of startups working towards the same problem, right? They are trying to deliver similar products. They are trying to solve similar problems. But the differentiator here, how I use as a benchmark to differentiate what's the top tier startup versus what's a mediocre startup. I think there are a couple of things, right? One is the fundamental I just mentioned, right? The team, the product, the competitive landscape, the total addressable market, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is really how do they stand out? How do they become an outlier when they are competing with their peers, right? What are they doing different? Are they actively driving adoption, or are they just waiting for the industry to be there, right? So I think that's another differentiator, and a third differentiator is really something we are actively looking at, is that whether the background of the startups, the startup companies, right? How are their background fit into the problem they are solving, right? So the higher compatibility we see the founder's background to the actual problem they are solving, I think the more likelihood that they have a deeper understanding about the problem. They have more experience in handling customers, handling certain challenges that's presented in the way, right? And they are making more realistic expectations on how they can solve this problem as well. So the teams are different, the approaches are different. Even for the same problem, different companies tend to have different approach to the same problem, and they have different go-to-market strategies, and these will down the road will position them in different ways, and the business will play out differently as well.
Okay. And the key is that key is also, besides mentioned that the key problem solving, are they really solving a problem? Are they making
are they solving a real problem, and
exactly, are they making anybody's life easier?
Right.
Then the adoption will happen. We have realized that that has found its place. The person who said it's going to impact everything. It is, but it's found its place. It's found its place in whether it's enterprise training, it's found its place in communication, it's found its place in remote trainings and stuff like that. So I think that I think you're right there. I think that key is that is it making anybody's life easier in the future? I think
for sure.
Then adoption will happen. Yeah, perfect. Lara?
Definitely.
Great insights, Ryan and Shajar. Thank you. Now, looking ahead, what trends do you see, Ryan, emerging in the metaverse and XR industries in the next few years? And how can companies and leaders best position themselves to take advantage of these trends?
Right. So, like what we have already discussed, like artificial intelligence has enabling a lot of aspects in the metaverse industry, right? And we see a lot of new development in both the enterprise and the consumer space. I think a couple of key trends that I think for every entrepreneurs, startups, and project managers in the metaverse space, they need to keep an eye on and keep their game up to date. So first of all, we have come to the convergence point of the artificial intelligence industry, VR, AR, gaming, right, immersive industry, and also, you know, Web3 decentralization industry as well, right? So, you know, for many new startups that we are talking these days, it's hard for us to just categorize the startup to be, hey, you know, you are a VR startup, you are AI startup, or you are a Web3 startup. So we tend not to categorize the startup in this way, because, you know, down the road, they might, so let's say a VR startup, right? They might, you know, adopt Web3 as well, right? Having a certain, like, you know, blockchain backend, or become Web3 compatible as well, right? Or, you know, they might want to use certain AI to enhance part of their products, or, you know, part of their services as well. So I think, you know, for any project leaders in this space, they need to be aware of what's happening, and also understand things like how AI could potentially enhance their projects, and how they can, you know, take advantage of, let's say, Web3 in their products and services, right? So, you know, this kind of big convergence is something that's happening, and I think moving forward, the boundaries between these different industries will get more blurred, and also, you know, because of the blur in this boundaries between different sectors, we will see different we will see much faster iterations in the industries to deliver, you know, something that's previously impossible as well. So I think, you know, the pace of the new development will become much faster compared to, for the, let's say, for the you know, if we compare the next 5 years versus the previous 5 years, right? So be prepared for, like, you know, faster iterations and, you know, faster adoptions starting from here. And one last thing I like to mention is that, you know, especially with the new development of generative AI, right? AI as a tool has, you know, has evolved from something that traditionally mostly used in the enterprise space, right? So in social medias, like, they have the different recommendation engine to direct you different feed, right? Or in e-commerce or in advertising, AI can learn about, you know, what kind of things you are shopping, what kind of things you are looking for, so that it can, you know, target you to the right, you know, products as well. Those kind of features and services into the more consumer-driven type of product services, right? Things we have already talked about: chatbot, generative AI, content creation, education, personalization, right? So I think, you know, right now is the time when AI has opened up a lot of doors for a lot of consumer-facing businesses and products, right? So for any consumer-facing software, for any consumer-facing products, they need to think about, okay, how is AI impacting my product? How is AI impacting my my space? And how can I leverage AI in whatever I'm doing? And also, you know, that's a good side, right? How is AI accelerating my things? And also on the other side of the argument here, so what potential risks shall we aware when we are adopting AI into our life, right? Because, you know, AI, the recent development of AI is based on, like, neural network, reinforcement learning, and it creates a, like, black box effect that it's a powerful tool, but inside the tool, how things function, what kind of possibility are there, it's also something risky as well, right? So especially for anyone that's using AI and deliver that AI directly to the consumer, right? It's a powerful, but certain have certain type of risk as well. So they need to be aware of the potential risk in this space, and you know, they need to take certain measures to understand and also mitigate this type of risk in their product and offering as well.
We've seen this, every pundit is talking about, both the sides,
Yeah.
the good part and the bad part. We don't want to be kind of, the ruled by AI or become a bot-centered world. But at the same time, it has a lot to offer. It's going to automate. It's going to make things easy a lot. It's going to remove some tasks which we don't want to do as humans. We want to focus more on creativity. We want to focus more on well-being. We want to focus more on enrichment. And there are things that, we as humans, we have that inertia that we don't want to do. That's where AI will come very handy, right? Remove those tasks which we can get, kind of dedicate to AI and make sure it delivers. That's I think that's very, very important. Have to have both sides, be aware of the both sides, that what it can do good and how it can also kind of impact negatively.
Exactly.
Let's see what it
right
offers,
now,
right?
it can be the iPhone moment for AI,
or it can be the nuclear
moment.
I think it is the iPhone moment. I feel that way.
But the future is in our hands. So
somebody was talking about, I think, on a social media that AI is not going to take our jobs, but people who use AI will take up your jobs. I think that's a chat everybody is having. No, it's not going to take up your job because it's still human, right? It's still made by us. It's an algorithm, right? It's made by our mind, by our brains. So we can still control it. But we need to use it effectively and efficiently to make our jobs easier, make our lives easier, and then that's it.
Yes. I think, to me, I'm not that concerned about AI taking our jobs. I think, we've witnessed a few times in human history on how technology is taking over people's job in the short term, right? But moving forward, we have created new jobs from industrial revolution and all that stuff, right?
Every phase
what was that?
Every phase has seen that human growth where we felt machines are going to take our jobs. It didn't happen. It gave rise to new skill sets, new jobs, new learnings, revenues, right? So I believe that.
It is an augmentation to what humans are able to do, right? It gave us superpowers, but how are we using the superpowers is in our hands.
Ryan, I have a question here. Achieving interoperability and the standards across platforms and devices, it's crucial for the success and the growth of the metaverse. So how do you see the industry addressing this challenge in the coming years? And what role do you see standards playing in the development of a truly interconnected metaverse?
Right. So I think, metaverse as a concept, right, is different from, let's say, multiverse because of its interoperability, right? So the thing is that, currently, if we look at the existing metaverse space, each virtual world, each product is its own ecosystem, right? If I want to, if I'm a player of CSGO, then I can transfer my inventories and belongings to, let's say, Roblox, right? So that's why for when the world is entering the metaverse age, right, when we'll have our digital identity, we'll have our avatars that can somehow represent us in the virtual world, and it's our self-expression in the metaverse, right? It's necessary for us to have a certain level of consistency when we are navigating different virtual world and when we have different type of presence in different space, right? So I think that's why interoperability is essential, so that each of the metaverse is each of the products is more open, each of the virtual world is more open, and we can have a more consistent user experience in the space as well, right? And different products can talk to each other and users on different platforms can talk to each other as well. But just like the competition between the iOS versus a Android ecosystem, one is more closed but more curated, but the other is more open but it's more chaos. I think interoperability and having like a true open ecosystem works well for certain use cases, for certain scenarios, but it also has certain disadvantages and certain concerns in a number of scenarios as well, right? So I would say that it's up to each of the project to kind of evaluate whether they want to be open or they want to be a closed ecosystem. And if they want to be an open ecosystem, how open do they want to be, right? What kind of roles does their product or services act in the broader metaverse industry, right? And how do they want their users to interact with the users on other platforms, right? And I think as an industry, we need to think about how can we make the industry as a whole more open, right? So that we are not only sing our songs to our own crowd, but also to the bigger marketplace and the bigger opportunities where the consumers are not quite yet in the metaverse yet, right? How can we make the metaverse industry more open and more easier accessible, easier to understand, easier to be adopted by the part of the world who haven't got into the metaverse yet, who haven't pick out artificial intelligence, or who haven't picked out any immersive products or services, right? How can they pick it up? So I think interoperability has always been a challenge, and we as a whole, if we can define certain industry standard and standard for our APIs, standard for our products, to make things more consistent, right? So it's better for the industry to move forward and for different players in the industry to collaborate with each other, and it will accelerate the pace of adoption to get the industry more easily adopted by outsiders, right? And to raise more awareness and lower the entry barriers as well.
Well, I think it'll be as case to case basis. What individual entity wants to do, or what a project you have in mind, what you want to achieve, how open, how close you want to be. We here in this region, UAE, there are a lot of initiatives that the government has taken, and there are other entities as well who are talking about metaverse platforms. So this remains the question still: should we, open up, or should we just keep it closed and it's for our employees, it's for our people, it's for our use. We don't want to kind of have that windows where the other platforms can there'll be exchange of information, exchange of data, or use of me entering metaverse A and me entering as metaverse B. I should look same. That's pretty kind of normal. That's how it should be. But it depends what they want to achieve, what we want to achieve. We're talking here a lot of entities here. Yes, everybody have a presence on metaverse. Either they want to create their own kind of a virtual world, or they want to kind of partner or associate with somebody. But this still remains an area where they're still thinking. It should be,
Yes. The downside of interoperability, right? The more open you make it, the more chaotic.
That's how it should be. The end. That about things, right?
Hey, Shujat, I think you just break out for a few seconds. There you go. I think now you're back.
That was it. I stopped at that. That was it. My 2 bits.
Definitely.
We can proceed further.
Okay, moving forward, Ryan, we are happy to have you as a keynote speaker at Metagate Summit and a member of the Innovate Accelerate Startup Competition jury. As an influential figure in the metaverse industry, Ryan, how crucial do you believe events like the Metagate Summit are for driving innovation?
I think, one thing that we have learned in the pandemic is that metaverse and virtual world have helped us to connect in virtual ways, right? But at the end of the day, we still need inhuman connections and inhuman conversations, right? So I think for a summit like Metagate, it's very crucial to bring the communities together in person, right? And also, the fact it's based in Istanbul in Turkey is also like, the heart of Europe and also the heart of the UAE area as well, right? So it brings a lot of talents in many different sides of the world together to understand, what some of the latest trends and challenges, and to, to make meaningful business connections, and to encourage more collaboration between not only startups and companies in a single region, but also across many different continents as well, right? So I think that's something that's very helpful for the industry to have a better understanding and open up a better communication channel, and also it opened up a lot of opportunities for different collaborations, not only between companies from the same region, but across the world. So super excited about this event, and such an honor to be a keynote speaker as well.
We are honored actually to have you, Ryan, and we can't wait to see you during the Metagate Summit. Shujat, do you like to add anything? Okay, thank you, Ryan and Shujat.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. I was on mute. I didn't realize I was on mute because there was suddenly my phone rang. No, it's great to have you, Ryan, part of the summit. We want to make it a big one in terms of meaning, not only scale and the size of it,
right?
More in terms of meaning that we want you to come talk. So there are good takeaways for people. You mentioned startups. Lara has taken a good initiative of creating this platform for startups so that
right. And for me personally,
a lot of talent there, which needs people like you to guide, to kind of coach and pick them up.
Yep. Right.
This time.
Yes. And so for me personally, I think there are so many talented engineers and startup founders in Turkey, right? Yes. I haven't get a chance to meet many of them because of the distance and the awareness in general. And I think an event like this will give me the opportunity to talk to the local startups and some of the leading companies as well. So super excited and very much looking forward to it.
And we will make sure to connect you with the right startups and accelerators during the Metagate Summit. Thank you, Ryan and Shujat, for your participation and contribution to this engaging and informative conversation. As we wrap up, is there anything you would like to add or share with our audience, Ryan and Shujat?
I mean, Ryan has given them a lot. They're good insights, very valuable insights. So if I may ask, to a startup, three good pointers that they can keep in mind. Which will make you notice.
Three key takeaways for the startup.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Okay. So first, I would say that's the real world use cases and drive adoption, right? So, think not about what the industry will do to you, but think what you can do for the industry. How can you make the conversion happen, right? How can you convert, people from non-crypto users into crypto users, non-VR AR users into VR AR users, things like that. The second thing is really think in terms of the convergence and between different sectors in the metaverse space, right? How AI is enabling different part of your business or products, how Web3 can create new possibilities for your projects, right? And try not to label your company as, hey, you know, I'm a metaverse company or I'm an AI company. I think, you know, the boundaries between different sectors will become blurred. So it's just a frontier technology company, right? Utilizing different kind of technologies and different kind of new developments. And the last one I would say is think about how you are differentiating versus all your competitors out there, right? So the differentiation might come from your background, right? How your past experience is helping this new venture, or, you know, the differences can be, you know, we're solving the same problem here, but we are applying different approach, and why my approach is better than my competitor's approach, right? So even when people are solving the same problem, they are seeing the same opportunity, solving the same problem, having similar products to the similar solution. The actual way on how, you know, things are executed can be way different, right? The go-to-market strategy, the approach to the problem, right? These things can be very different, and sometimes, you know, the devil is in the details, right? This kind of different approach, this kind of you know, different problem solving trajectories. These are some of the key differentiators from the best startup founders versus mediocre startup founders. So, you know, to sum it up, I would say adoption driver and the convergence of different technology and how to be an outstanding founder. So yeah.
Great advice.
You just gave somebody a very good tagline. The frontier technology company.
Mm-hmm.
You just gave somebody a very good tagline. Somebody's going to pick it up.
I'm sure.
Cool.
Use that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Brilliant.
Thank you, Shujat. Thank you, Ryan. Can't wait to see you during Metagate Summit in Turkey in September 2023. And now to our audience, thank you for tuning in to Meta Talks. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Stay tuned for more sessions and updates on Metagate Summit. Follow us on our social media at Metagate Summit or visit our website www.metagatesummit.com to register your interest. See you soon.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.